wrestling. But I want to give you a proper intro, Bill. So before you say anything, and I got Tony Lizio. Tony Lizio is off to the side. So Bill Branca, everybody. I know Bill from back in L.A., back in the day. I would say in the early 90s, we used to hang out at the Comedy Store. And Bill was a big agent with William Morris. He was the director and president of the comedy department for William Morris Agency, which at the time was probably the biggest agency in LA. I mean, every comedian wanted to be. So when everybody wanted to be with Bill. He was one of these guys that was like the Don of comedy. He'd walk into a room, the Red Sea would part like it was Moses. It was Bill Branca. Nobody knew what to fucking say to this guy, how to approach him. But me, I didn't give a fuck. I just thought he was, because he was Italian, we could talk about broccoli rabe and sausage. That's all I give a fuck about. Because I knew, I was smart. I knew I wasn't ready for him. So why build a bridge that's going to burn if I'm not good enough? So I said, I'm not going to do it. So him and I just became buddies and hanging out. And everybody wanted to be with Bill. And I'm like, so what do you make tonight for dinner? But anyway, Bill was the biggest guy in Hollywood. And he was a great guy. And he's still a great guy. And he's here tonight. Where'd he go?
All right, Bill dropped off.
Bill dropped off again. He's got to come back in.
Okay.
Hold on. He's got to come back. So Bill was he was a great, big agent. He used to handle Chris Rock and Martin Lawrence and Tommy Davidson.
Okay.
He was he was responsible for Def Comedy Jam. He's one, and he was like the shit at that time. He would hang out at the Comedy Store because everybody. He's going to come on with his phone, I think. So,
okay,
it's probably going to be easier.
Yeah.
So he would come on to he would come to the comedy. So he'd be hanging out there every night because he was actually dating one of the waitresses there, Eleanor Kerrigan, who's now a comedian. They were dating. So,
I know Eleanor. Of course,
you know Eleanor from the Rolling with Dice and Wheels days.
Another thing we did. Yeah.
Yeah, another podcast that was that didn't bomb for sure. It was a great show. We talked about it last episode, and a lot of people are loving it. And you're wearing a shirt tonight, Billy.
I am.
Tony.
I pulled it out of the archives.
Look at that, Rolling with Dice and Wheels, the shirt. That was actually merch.
Yeah.
Only for us though. There was nobody.
Only for us. Yeah.
I think there was a few people. Andrew sold us some of it on the tour.
Yep.
We did a regular tour, and he would sell some merchandise. So there is some stuff. I bet if you go to a thrift store somewhere in Las Vegas, you might see one. If you really, or like one of those aardvark places.
And he wore it in the Entourage movie, didn't he?
He did. He wore it. He wore it in the Entourage. It was sold on eBay. Here comes Bill. Bill's coming back right now.
Hey,
and
Bill.
Hey, there he is. Hey, sorry about that, Bill. You're back in action. Anyway, I was just talking about you. So anyway, how you doing, man? How are you?
I'm good, Wheels. This technology is like killing me.
Yeah, but you're coming in really nice, actually. It looks good.
If
do you have like a little
tripod?
Turn the phone sideways. It's better sideways if you can.
Yeah, let me hook the mic up to my phone. Because right now I'm coming into the phone mic. Give me a second here.
Yeah. But you don't sound bad. You don't sound bad at all, Bill.
You sound actually really good. Yeah, just turn the phone sideways. This way you could be landscape instead of portrait. We didn't have this.
Then if I don't need it, I don't need it.
Yeah.
All right, let me put this down.
And turn
it.
Turn it the long way. Can you turn it the other way? The phone, so it can be like a sideways.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, do that.
See this friggin' technology? Why don't they make this stuff plug and play?
We didn't have that technology back in the day.
Not even close. Not even close. You know what? It's his screen must be locked, so we'll just do it the regular way. It looks fine.
Just do it the regular way, Bill. Your screen must be locked.
Is that better?
Okay. No,
actually, you're sideways now, so we'll just do it the regular way.
I think do it the regular way.
I think it's fine going up and down.
There you go. Stay there.
Yeah.
So I was just talking about you, Bill, and I was saying how we were hanging out at the Comedy Store back in the day, and then all of a sudden, so tell us a little about your days as an agent in Los Angeles, because that's a high pressure job, and being a comedy agent. Being a comedy agent has got to be a little more difficult than being an acting agent, because comics are like hawks. They always want to just latch on to you, wherever the fuck you go. It's always about, always starts out as I'm your friend. Then it's next thing they're pitching you a fucking show idea, So how was it dealing with that at the Comedy Store every night?
Okay. When I got to, this is key to the story. when I got to LA, right, and I went through the William Morris training program, which
Yeah.
I had to start in the mailroom, famous mailroom. Then I had to go dispatch packages, to like Walter Matthau and B. Arthur. It was insane.
Right.
Um, they told me to find my niche at the agency.
Okay. What does that mean?
So,
Find your
so I
niche.
was so I was looking around. I was looking in the TV department. I was looking in the motion picture department, the commercial department, the personal appearance department. But there were other people going into those departments. I wanted to
Okay.
be unique. So I told them my niche is going to be comedy because you do not have a dedicated comedy agent who oversees TV, motion picture, commercials, and personal appearances. This is brilliant.
That's right. But
They
were
did,
you a
and
lover of comedy? To pick comedy though, to pick comedy, you had to be a lover of comedy, I would think.
yeah. I grew up just like you, listening to George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Red Fox. Oh my God, he was dirty. In the 70s when we would have the family dinner, and then
Yeah.
after the family dinner, we put on little George Carlin.
Yeah, I liked early Carlin, middle Carlin, and then as Carlin was getting older, I think he started getting a lot more political, and I think he was just a frustrated old man at the end. But he was still funny.
Yeah.
So what happened then with William
Then-
Morris? So what did you end up doing?
So I had a fight with them. It wasn't easy. It was a constant fight. But I was like, I nagged them so much about this that they kind of put me under Fred Mock over there with Variety, and then I stole an office, an empty office, right?
How
And
you
I-
steal one? You just move in and start paying rent? What the fuck do you do?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I had gotten off of all my training, right, and now I was in that sweet spot, find your location, and I said, all right, well, Fred, there's a spot at the end of this hallway. I want to have my work area there. I didn't tell him it was an office. I just
Right.
said it was the local spot. So he said, I need to sign off on that bill. Just put it in a memo and send it to me. So I put it in a memo, and he signed off on it, and I got an office.
I love that.
Everything's
then
got to
he
be a
signed
memo. And then you had it
And then he signed off, and I got a desk. And then I ordered a TV set because I needed a VCR to view tapes.
Yeah, of course. Well, especially in the comedy department, because every comedian had a
Yeah.
tape. I'm sure you were getting FedExes and UPSs every day. Loaded.
Yeah. So then they,
so when where'd you go from there? You stayed in that office for a while, and then you just worked your way up to you. Do you just start as a mail room guy and eventually become the president? There's got to be some kind of in between.
Yes. So what happened was I started going to the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory. I had to get my footing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then I heard that there was this club in South Central LA, and it was called the Comedy Act Theater. Michael
Correct.
Williams was running it, And
all the black
I went
all the
down.
black comedians would be there. All the black comedians, I think, for the people out there listening,
Absolutely.
that's who played. We didn't go there. We just didn't do it. Not because we didn't want to, but because we just wanted to kind of not do it because it was a dangerous
Well,
area, South Central.
I'll never forget it. The first time I drove down there and I parked kind of like in front of the club, there was this guy hanging out on the corner, and I get out of my car and I'm in my William Morris stuff. I'm going to watch your car for you tonight, okay? I said,
Okay.
Oh, you are? Yeah. He says, yeah. I said, yeah, I'll give you $20. I need 40. Oh, okay. Here's $20.
It was
And 'cause
negotiating.
I had my brand new Cadillac with the North Star engine. It was sweet. Gold trim wheels. It was sweet.
Yeah, but when they
So
found
he,
out who you were, at one point, were you still paying to park, or did you get a free parking at that point?
No, it was just this guy.
Oh,
whenever
okay.
sometimes the other people wouldn't mess with me because people found out who I was, but I had a relationship with this guy.
This guy was almost like your personal bodyguard of the car.
Yeah, absolutely. He was
Well,
watching my car, making sure that, because I had a feeling if I didn't pay him,
you have a
I was going
problem.
to come out there were going to be no wheels on the car.
No car. Yeah, you had no car. That
The
40
car,
bucks
Probably
was
car was
saved
going
you
to be
dead
stripped.
accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What about so when you were at the Comedy Act, what made you gravitate towards the Comedy Act? Were you looking for a certain style of comedian, or did you just? I mean, because you have, like you said, you had the Laugh Factory, the Improv, and the store there at your fingertips. What made you say no? I'm going to go to South Central and figure it out over there. Was this something that you had in your mind? There's got to be something to that.
Yeah, I was looking for the next wave. I remember there were always waves of comedians, like from Flip Wilson, Bill Cosby, Richard Pryor, and I was looking for that next wave. And I didn't really see it at the Comedy Store or
Really?
at the Laugh Factory or the Improv. So I found it at the Comedy Act Theater. It was urban comedy. Okay.
Urban. So that was the next wave right there.
Right. Now there was another agent that I saw down there, and his name was Bill Gross from Bill Gross, and he saw me down there, and he was like he came up to me and said, Bill, so you found this spot, Bill. Congratulations. But Robin Harris is mine. Okay. You stay away from Robin Harris.
Yeah.
And I said, Bill,
Robin was hot.
I said, Bill, I'm just here looking at the show, man. I don't have any intentions. I just want to, get a feel for the joint. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, he went back to his seat, and this kid goes up. His name is Martin Lawrence. First time I'm there.
He was just a kid.
And he goes up and he starts doing his set. Maybe he has like 10 minutes. And I went, wow, holy smokes. He just had a presence.
He did.
And his timing and everything. So I think I said, oh my God, I think this is the guy. I think this guy. So after the show, I went up to him and I said, hey, Martin, I'm Bill Branker. I'm a new agent at William Morris. Okay. I want to, represent you. And I think together I could make you a star, And he liked everything that I said because I was talking, because I said star. He had aspirations of being like Eddie Murphy star. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And I wasn't being short with him, like, we're going to get you a TV show. No. So he said, I'll come see you tomorrow. I said, okay. So
Unbelievable.
I have
You knew.
little tiny office, my desk. He comes in there and he's with his crew. Okay. He traveled with a crew. And he had his gold glasses on. He had like his white, leather jacket. I mean, he didn't take his glasses off once when he came to see me.
Okay.
And I said, Martin, so let's get started, man. I want to sign you, blah, blah, blah. I said, you're going to have the whole agency behind us, blah, blah, blah.
I'm hearing something in the background loud. What is that? Oh, okay. I don't know.
So what happened was, he said, all right, Bill. You're my agent. Okay, Bill. So then I said to him, who's your manager? And he said, Topper Carew. So I said, great. If you don't mind, let me go talk to Topper Carew. Okay. And he gave me his contact information. I met with Topper, and then we had this plan. He did Do the Right Thing. That was with what's his name?
Danny Aiello.
Yeah. No,
The director?
Yeah.
I forgot his friggin' name already. I must be going.
Isn't it crazy?
Spike Lee. It was
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
So, he had a little scene in that. Copper Crew said, I'm going to be producing a movie called Talking Dirty After Dark. Oh, I said, okay. So we have some heat on him, right? He did that, he did this, and I felt that was great. So long story short, I signed him, I started promoting him, and I was getting him like $500 club spots. You know what I'm saying? Plus his airfare. But I said to him, Martin, you have to do these. I need you to go on the road so people could say you're reliable, you're showing up, you're giving a hell of a performance. And, he said, okay, Bill, everything was good. Maybe 6 months into this, Robin Harris got a deal on the new Fox network to do his own urban comedy like show, sitcom.
Right. Okay.
Robin Harris unfortunately died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it just, everybody was really so sad because Robin was sweet dick, really. Yeah.
He was a great guy. Yeah. Very nice man.
So Topper Carew and I said, Topper, what are you going to do? He says, I'm going to get him that slot. He said, okay. So what happened was, I think it was Chris Albrecht at the time. I think he was running it. Yeah, that's right. It was HBO who produced it for Fox. And Chris Albrecht, he ended up giving the green light to this guy who was nobody. Okay. With that, Martin put together his show,
Yeah.
And then it was time for the show to air. And the show aired and it was getting pretty good reviews. Fox only had like 50 stations. I mean, it was nothing. So this is what
Fox
I said.
was the smallest. They weren't really in the top then,
No, they were brand new.
Yeah.
So I figured out this is how we made Martin Lawrence a star. Okay, and this is my secret formula. When Martin Lawrence's show aired, we did the taping on a Thursday. I booked him on a Friday in one of the new markets that Fox picked up. Then I booked him on a Saturday in another market that Fox picked up. And I booked him Sunday. So we had 3 shows every weekend. Okay. And with him going to those markets, I contacted the Fox affiliate, right? And I said, that new show you have, Martin Lawrence show? I'm bringing Martin Lawrence to your town. And they would get really excited. They said, really? I said, yeah, I want to put him on air. You could interview him about his new show and we could plug our concert. It was like genius. They started inviting the advertisers who were buying spots on the Martin Lawrence show to come to the station to meet the star of the show. It was insane.
That is insane.
Then we invited them to the show. I always gave them seats in the front row. And this started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, where we started at 1,500 seats. We ended up 2,500 seats, 5,000 seat arenas.
So he was doing those numbers then.
Yeah, but no one could understand this because he had nothing. All he had was that show. Oh, right. And while his show came out, he had Def Comedy Jam with Russell Simmons and Stan Latham, SLBG Entertainment. Okay, so what was happening was SLBG went to Martin, and Martin said, check with me. I think it was Stan, was the person I spoke to. And they said, we want Martin to come out on our Def Comedy Jam tour. I said, no. Martin's going out on his own tour to promote his own show. Okay.
Right,
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And they were pissed off at me.
But he was on Def Comedy. He was on Def a few times, wasn't he?
He was the host.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like when he
he
when
was
he
the
was the
host.
when he was the host of Def Comedy Jam, does that make you an executive producer on the show? Do you get that
Well,
credit?
I couldn't take those titles at the time because I was
Oh,
I was an agent.
you weren't a manager. If you were a manager, you were able to do that, right?
Yeah.
So that would be like a conflict of interest, I guess, right?
Hey, what's that vacuum cleaner
Yeah,
noise?
I hear that. I hear like a big noise in the background on Tony. I think it's on Tony's end.
I think maybe hear the equipment,
Oh,
the
okay.
fans on the equipment. Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bill, when you met
Yeah.
Martin, would you say, you know, I mean, I'm going to say you have it. You should be credited for his career. Actually, I mean, that's something that, you know, even though he was working, you know, little rooms in L.A., you did take him to the mainstream, wouldn't you say? I mean,
Well, I mean, absolutely. I
Yeah.
built him up from a 1,000-seat arena to like 5,000, 7,500 seats, and that was all because in the markets that I put him in, they flooded it with advertising promoting the concert because it was the Fox network, and I brought him to the local station to meet the station
Right.
manager, to meet the advertisers, to meet people in the community. So I mean, of course we were going to sell out. Then we
Yeah, of
started
course. You
doing
had
one
no
show.
doubt.
We started adding 2 shows. But when it was
Right.
listed on Polestar, the concert magazine,
That was biggest.
no one understood. How's Martin Lawrence selling out? He's been on the scene for 5 minutes.
What was his biggest audience at that time? Would you say was he past the 5,000 mark?
Oh my God! All right, yeah. But I gotta let you know something else. Right before this happened with Martin Lawrence and William Morris let me go. They said to me, you know, we've had you in this comedy position. We knew it wasn't going to work out. I says, what do you mean it's not working out? I got Martin Lawrence. He's about ready to blow up. They says, oh yeah, we've heard that all before. Bill, you're not making enough money to cover you, to cover your secretary, to cover your expenses. It's just a business decision. We got to let you go.
Wow.
Wow.
See, they'll fuck you. William, any agency will fuck you. But then again, it was okay because you ended up opening up the Branca agency on Sunset, right, in West Hollywood.
Yeah,
If
I opened
remember,
up
yeah.
see, that was like a turn back moment or something like that. Like, do I keep going forward? Because this was devastating, losing
Sure,
William
it had to be.
Morris.
But yeah,
You know, like the turn back moment was maybe this ain't for me. Maybe this is God telling me I'm not supposed to do this.
yeah. But you know, I
But
find
anyway,
it really, I find it interesting with the Martin Lawrence thing. Real quick, just to backtrack, because you said you were going to the Comedy Act Theater in L.A. and back in those days, you know, the Comedy Store was popping too. I mean, you had people in there like everybody thought that Eddie Griffin was going to be the next wave. You didn't see that,
Yeah.
or did you? You know, did you not? Was he already into it? I mean, like, because Eddie was slated for being the next wave.
yeah, no, I already signed Eddie as his agent over at
Oh, you were
William
Eddie's,
Morris.
you were Eddie's agent, right?
Yeah, there's that picture of me. Do you have
Yeah, do
that
we
of
have
me,
that picture?
me and
You have that picture of
Eddie
with
in
Eddie Griffin
my
at the-
Let me
office?
take a look.
at the desk. Yeah.
And this was, you got to remember something. This was all the first time I was promoted. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
then
this
they
was
let
during
me go.
the first wave.
Right. So and then when they let me go, like you said, my brother did my corporate papers. I had to become a licensed talent agent. I had to get bonded. I had to do all this stuff. And I hung my shingle up, the Branca agency. And the people at William Morris didn't understand because I started then keeping the 10% commission, not giving the 10% commission to the agency and me getting a smidgen of it.
So you were putting a little bit into the. That's Tommy Davidson. That's
Yeah,
Tommy Davidson.
was somebody that I signed.
Yeah, that's
And this
Tommy.
guy in the middle was Mighty Mike. He was a boxer.
Yeah, I'll go back here. Yeah. He was a boxer.
Yeah, he was a boxer right there.
That picture of
There's a
me
picture of Eddie
and,
Griffin at the desk, but that's okay.
Okay.
might be.
But Tom, if he could find it, Tony, you got that? You could find that photo of him at the desk, sitting, kneeling. He looks like he's signing something, Eddie.
Okay, let me take a look.
Yeah, and Eddie's leaning over my shoulder. If
Leaning
you
over
have
his
it.
shoulder. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I sent it over. I
Okay, but
might-
the beautiful thing is when I left William Morris to start my own agency, you know, I went to Martin Lawrence, and Martin Lawrence said, F them, man. Bill, do your own thing, Bill. Just do your own thing. I'm with you.
Right. Right.
So then I went to, and then at the time, I had this new comic named Chris Rock, and I was building my relationship with him.
Well, I'm seeing this one
He
with Martin
said,
Lawrence.
Well, there's Martin right there. Who's the
Yeah,
other
and-
one there, Bill? I know that's you, Martin. Who
That's
else?
that's Michael Hubbard. That's Martin Lawrence in the middle, and that's me. Have I aged much? And
Not much. Well, you were wearing a hat back
that's
then.
that's his first $100,000. That for the weekend he did like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it was Sunday right after. We always collected cash. We never collected checks. So I was rolling with 100, 200, 300 grand, back to LA. And I gave it to him. And I said, Martin,
Now,
I'm so
how
proud.
much would he typically make it? How much would he typically make?
Well, at this
Yeah.
point,
You were proud of him.
yeah. I mean, when I booked him in the 500 seat, 1,000 seat theater, I mean, he was getting like maybe $2,000 guarantee. And I said the rest of the money is going to be on the back end. When we hit the break even point, we're going to split it 80-20. So, he always hit bonuses. You got to understand, he always sold out a show. When he was with me, he never did a show that wasn't a sellout.
Right. He was always selling out. What was the highest ticket number you think? Was it
Oh.
he wasn't doing stadium arenas though, was he?
No, so wait a minute. So I started building him up. This was 1991. His show, I think, hit the air in 1991. Okay. So I'm doing bigger venues, like I'm doing 7,500 seaters. I did a couple 10,000 seaters. So then what happened was, I found a promoter who wanted to do wanted the whole tour exclusive with me because he saw the magic too. And Martin met him, and we decided to go with him as our promoter. Okay. So then what happens is I have a phone call from Radio City Music Hall. This is insane. 1991, his show is on for one season. They say, not even a season. Okay. It was a summer start. Yeah. It was on. I don't know. What did they do? 20 episodes, maybe? They said, we want Martin Lawrence on New Year's Eve.
Oh wow.
I said, whoa.
That's
So
a big
then,
night. That's like double the pay. New Year's Eve is always double the pay.
Yeah. So I said, how many shows? They said, well, we'll put one show up and see if we can get two out of it. So I said, okay, let me talk to Martin about it. I mean, this is a huge step because if we don't succeed at this is going to hurt him. Okay.
Right.
So I went back and I spoke to Martin and we went through the pros and the cons. And Martin, I mean, he said, fuck yeah, Bill. I'll sell it out. Fuck yeah. Okay, Martin.
He knew.
I went ahead and I made the deal. I started getting calls from people saying, hey, Bill, you can't do that to that guy, man. You're going to ruin his fucking career, Bill. It's just, Bill, what are you doing, man? That's a rookie move, man. I said, okay. I said, let's see what happens on New Year's Day, okay? Not only did we sell out the two shows on New Year's Eve, we sold two shows out the day before New Year's Eve.
Oh wow.
And then we sold one show out on New Year's Day. We sold 5 shows out at Radio City Music Hall.
Wow.
That put him into the stratosphere.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how many seats was that?
7,500 seats per show.
So
Yeah, so
you sold 4 shows out.
37,000.
30,000 people. 37,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's not a bad
So
weekend.
how did you feel from going from after just leaving the William Morris agency because they basically fired you at that point? But
Yeah,
now
I
you're
mean,
with
it was all good terms. Dick Allen, I tried to find out from Dick. He says, Bill, this isn't my decision, Bill. This is business affairs. Okay. And I knew who business affairs was. Okay. And I said, all right. I said, don't worry about it, Dick. I'm going to go and you got to give me a release on all my clients. And he did.
What are we looking
Yeah,
at
there you
Bill?
go. there's the Martin Lawrence Radio City Music Hall slide. We took an ad out in Variety,
Okay.
and that's the ad we took out. Now you got to remember something. So the show grossed $1,023,000. Okay,
Wow.
but this was 1991 money, first of all. Okay, and there's
Right.
something else that you got to understand. With Martin Lawrence, we came to an agreement. Martin and I, we weren't going to inflate the tickets. We weren't
Right.
going to make the tickets $75, $100. What we did was all the tickets were like $20, $25.
Right.
Then we had a golden pit. The golden pit was $100 a ticket, and maybe
100 a
there were like $100 a ticket, and that was to sit like within the first 5 rows. We called
Yeah,
it
that's
the
what
golden.
that's how you make it. Yeah, so we did that with Andrew too. Andrew would always have that stuff. Golden circle, then you have the side tables and whatever, you can always nickel and dime the front and you make a lot more money.
But at Radio City Music Hall, we couldn't do it for $25. Maybe the tickets were maybe like $45, $50, but they were reasonable. Martin said, I don't want to go out and tour and my fans not be able to afford a ticket to my show.
Well, he thought about
That's
that.
crazy.
That was kind to him. A lot of people don't give a
I
shit.
can appreciate
Yeah.
that. Nope, a lot of people,
Now,
especially
Radio
today.
City Music Hall is about 7,500. Yeah. Radio City Music Hall is about 7,500 people. I performed there. That was one of my first gigs with Andrew when I opened for Dice. That's how I ended up becoming his full-time opening act, was the night that I opened for him at Radio City. Then he took me on the road and we did all the rest. But yeah, that was a big night. So Radio City's a
That's
beautiful
huge,
room.
man. That's huge, Wheels.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's when he invited me. I went from a 100-seat room in Pips Comedy Club in Brooklyn. He goes, "What are you doing next week?" And I ended up doing Radio City, and then I ended up his opening act at the time. I won't say who it was. He couldn't follow me, so Andrew put me on after him. So because the opening act couldn't follow me, and then I became his opening act, and the opening act was gone at that point, and I became his opening act. I was right after Eddie Griffin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was his open. So Eddie did some of the big shows, and then I came in right after Eddie, and I was his next major act for many, many years. But like Martin Lawrence, though, I remember Martin hanging out at the Comedy Store. He was always a nice guy, Martin. A little wild, a little crazy, especially on Fat Tuesday. Remember Fat Tuesday at the Comedy Store?
I do. That was Guy Torrey. Yeah.
Yeah. That was amazing. Yeah. That was a wild night. What do we got there now? That's Martin.
That's
just
one of the
clip from
passes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the packages from the show.
So then how'd the Branca agency do at that point? Were you only
Oh my God.
representing as the Branca agency?
Okay, so like I said, I saw the opening in Urban Comedy. Russell Simmons launched his Russell Simmons Def Comedy Jam. Martin was the host, but we were doing the Martin Lawrence tour, You So Crazy tour. We weren't doing the Def Comedy Jam tour. And then I'm collecting 10% commission. I had like Eddie Griffin at the time. I had Martin Lawrence. I had Joe Torre, Guy Torre. These were all urban acts, black acts. I had Ricky Harris, Adele Givens. Then something weird happened. I got a call from Sandy Gallen, I think it was.
Sandy.
And
Yeah, Sandy Gallen.
He was over at Brillstein, I think. And that's the company that did Def Comedy Jam.
Right.
They says, we want to give you Bill Maher.
So he wasn't so wait a minute. So okay, Bill Maher, but before that was Sandy Gallen with Gallant and Maury, correct? Wasn't there? His partner was Maury, something last name Maury. Do you remember him?
I can't remember.
Yeah. So you had Bill Maher, who was still very relevant.
So they gave me Bill Maher, and I was really excited because I really liked him. And what I did with Bill,
was he your only white comedian? I mean, not the bad, because everybody, it seems like you had all black comedians, and that's fine. But I mean, did you have any white or Hispanic comedians other than Bill Maher?
No, at that time, no. But I did expand my roster a little bit. Okay. But what we did with Bill Maher was I just thought the easiest way for me to represent this guy is to go to the college circuit, right? I went to a couple of the conventions. I put up my Bill Maher booth, and I booked him at colleges.
Oh, NACA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was NACA.
And yeah, and I mean that was a real smart move too, because that was his audience, you know.
Yeah, oh, sure. That was 100% his
You know,
audience.
and he was nothing. I mean,
No.
I would have to struggle to get $1,000 out of them. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
he was
it was
totally nothing at that time.
yeah. So
Uh,
anyway, that happened, and along that way, right? This was crazy. I believe I went to New York because James Dixon was the TV agent, TV agent in New York, and there was this Chris Rock, and he was going to perform at Eddie Murphy Uptown Saturday night, I think, and it was at the Apollo Theater. I think Harvey
Okay.
was hosting it. I think, and
Okay.
I I went there and I saw this kid, Chris Rock, and I said, "Oh my God, this guy lit up the stage." I
Oh
just
yeah.
had a thing, and I would see a star in their halo, you know.
Yeah, you just
So I
knew it.
went up to him, yeah, and I said, "Hey, Chris." I think James Dixon was there too, because James, you know, brought him in, and then I was his West Coast contact, and
Where is that now? That
I had
picture right there. Is that early in his career? That's no, he was older
oh
then, it looks like.
no, this was way after I left. This was in like 2007. He did a
Okay.
play on Broadway, and if you pull out, you might be able to see the title of it. If you
No,
could
this
pull
is the
out,
full shot.
Yeah, it's the full shot right there.
oh,
zoomed
okay,
out all the way.
yeah, it was the motherfucker in the hat, and he
The
had a
motherfucker in
Broadway,
the hat. I remember that.
yeah, yeah, and that was me. I wasn't his agent at the time, but we kept our friendship going,
Yeah, and you
you
still
know.
today to this day remain friends, right?
Yeah, I spoke to him just last week. Absolutely,
And
Chris is a human being.
so back in the
And
day
I,
with
Yeah,
Chris,
oh
I
my
think
I had a
God!
fun one from.
So let me tell you about this picture. So right after he signed with us over at William Morris, um, he 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 got the call for a New Jack City. Okay, and he had a role. He played Pookie, right?
sure, legendary
That
role.
it was booked. It was booked by the motion picture department, but I didn't give an F because if Chris Rock is my client and he's going to be in LA, I'm going to be with him, right at his hip,
Yeah,
for every minute he's in LA. So I
of
went
course.
down to New Jack City and I was hanging with him in the dressing room while they were shooting, in the background and all that. And Chris was getting ready. This was a scene. He was getting ready to shoot. And I said, Chris, I got to take a picture of this. I got to. And he
That's
said,
funny.
Bill, don't show this picture to anybody. I don't, because he thought he was looking like a fool.
And now it's on the How Not to Bomb podcast. Has got exclusive rights to the photo.
Take that one off.
Hey, it's funny, Bill. When I started comedy back in the 80s, I got picked up by Dice in 1989, and Chris Rock got picked up by Eddie Murphy back then, and Eddie Murphy found him at the comic strip in L.A. around the same time that I was picked up by Andrew as the opening act. So it was kind of funny that because I knew Chris from back in the open mic days in New York, and showcase nights and stuff. When we'd run into each other, and we've done gigs together in the same places, and we hung out at the Comedy Store. Me and Chris have a rapport too, not like you guys, but we know each other very well. And I remember everybody was very proud of me that I got with Andrew and he got with Eddie, and it was kind of like, wow,
Yeah.
we inspired other comedians to go out there and do their thing, because hey, you just never know what can happen, and back in those days.
Yeah.
I did find an early one, I think, of you guys. I'm gonna put it up here.
Oh, okay. So this is crazy. It was Def Comedy Jam, and Chris performed on Def Comedy Jam one time,
Right.
and that was the picture of Chris, and the other one is Joe Torre, and
Joe.
Joe took over when Martin Lawrence left Def Comedy Jam because he only did it for like 3 years, and then he became way too big for it. We pulled him off.
Yeah.
Joe Torre took over. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that
That was
was at
like-
the performance.
Yeah, I remember the Joe and Guy were brothers, and Joe was they were both great guys, and I would see them all the time at the store. You know, it's interesting, you know, the career you had as an agent with these guys, and you know, you take it for granted, but people really don't realize it. You know, it's, I mean, come on, I mean, you're talking about during those days, Martin. No one was bigger than Martin Lawrence. No one was bigger than Chris Rock. I mean, Def Comedy
No.
Jam was probably the hottest show on TV with comedians for anybody to do it. I mean, you know, amazing.
Well, you got to remember too, Martin hit like
That's another-
overnight, and oh, there you go.
That's Bernie Mac, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I can't see. I'm blocked. I'm blocking that other guy. Is that Bernie? No.
Is that Bernie Mac and Chris Rock? It looks like Bernie Mac and Chris Rock.
Oh, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's Bernie Mac and the Macaronis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah. So when you met Chris, let's go back to the beginning with Chris. How did you guys end up meeting? Okay, you met down in Harlem, and then how did you end up
Yeah.
signing? What year was that? And what do you think?
Well, you see, that's the
when
thing.
was this?
When I met him, I said to him, you know, Chris, I'm representing this guy named Martin Lawrence, you know, and his career is like is exploding right now. It's exploding, and he liked that. He liked that a lot, you know.
And they didn't know
he
each
liked
other.
that.
Chris and Martin didn't know each other.
No, but but Chris respected Martin so much. Okay. And he said, all right, Bill, you know, it was done. He signed with me. But then again, William Morris let me go. They let me go. So I started my own agency. I called up Chris and I said, hey, Chris, you know, they let me go, Chris. I was doing my comedy thing, urban comedy, I wanted to call it, and they let me go. He says, what are you going to do, Bill? I said, I'm starting my own agency. Martin Lawrence told me to start my own agency. That's what I'm doing. Are you going to sign with me? And he says, hell yeah.
Wow. So you had both of them at the time with the Branca agency, your brand.
Yeah. So here it is. I don't know if you could read it.
Yeah.
No, I can't see shit.
It's a little
Okay.
blurry, but
This
you can read it to
was
us.
September 1st, 1992. Okay.
Put it back up.
That,
Okay.
which is about right. It's about a year into Martin Lawrence's thing.
Yep.
It says, Dear Bill, this letter will confirm the understanding that I authorize you to represent me exclusively as my agent for personal appearances. The term and conditions will be arranged by my business manager, Mark Landsman. Best regards, Chris Rock.
Wow.
That's cool. That's cool.
That
Yeah.
is cool.
I would have
Have
that
the
frame
letter.
too. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a frameable letter there. So, but let me
Yeah.
ask you this though, because you represented these guys. But how was it for you to be able to juggle? Now you had Chris Rock, you had Martin Lawrence, you had all the like. You know, how do you live your life? How do you have a life and juggle what you're juggling? I mean, you know, you're the
Okay,
only
so
one.
this
Did
is
you
what I
have
did.
but did you have other agents at the Branca agency other than yourself?
Well, no, what I did was I brought my assistant from William Morris over to the Branca
Okay.
agency, and my God, I paid her really well. At the time, I was paying her $1,000 a week in
Yeah.
1992. That's insane.
Yeah.
But I brought her over, and then I brought another girl over as the receptionist. I made Stacy an agent, and I had Stacy basically work on the other comedians that I was representing, like the Guy Torres,
Okay.
the Joe Torres, and I exclusively did Martin and Chris. Okay.
So how
And
would you
my
how would you handle Martin being in one place and Chris being in the other? And if you wanted to stay so close to your clients, how did you prioritize that?
You know, it never really conflicted because
Okay.
when Chris came out to LA, like okay, Chris, we had to build him up a little bit differently because he didn't have that catalyst. He didn't have that show, but he did get Saturday Night Live. Okay.
Okay,
Which was
gotcha.
huge.
That was very
So we
big.
started, I started booking him in clubs, and I told him, we got to get you to that comedy special, that HBO comedy special. It's the Golden Goose. So I kept him working. He would do Saturday Night Live, and then I would send him out, you know, to do a comedy club. I would send him out to do a comedy club. He was working up his material. He was getting like an hour set together.
Right.
So we had an audition at the Comedy Store for HBO. Their comedy specials, and they gave it to him. They says, "Chris Rock, we're going to give you the comedy special."
Wow.
So then we had to pick a producer, someone to do it, and we picked this company called Production Partners. They're a production company. They did a couple of those specials, but they were kind of like New Kids on the Block.
Right. But
So
they were
that
like
was
the indie. They probably had a good vision too, of the new stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I was all about, because who would think that I become this expert in comedy,
Right.
but I was just making the right moves. So then we did the comedy special. It was in Atlanta. I went out and I did the site. I found the building that we were going to do the special in. Then I contacted Production Partners, Chris Rock. Everyone signed off on it. Then we had to get the material together. We got the staging. I have a whole bunch of pictures from that where we have the CR Colorado Rockies, right? They were a baseball team at the time.
Yeah.
And we copied that logo for Chris Rock. We had that in the background. Yeah. And then
That's crazy.
yeah, we did the special.
What was the name of that special? Do you remember that? I forget the name of the special. I forget the name of this.
It wasn't Run Till That. It was Jokes. It was Badass Jokes.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think it was Badass Jokes. I'm going to look it up. Chris Rock's first special. What was Chris Rock's first special? I guess his first special was Big Ass Jokes. There you go.
There you go.
Big Ass Jokes. Gotta love it.
And
there he is, right there. Is that
That's Big Ass Jokes.
There you go.
Big Ass. There you go.
That's Pookie from Do the Right Thing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Bill. What is because a lot of people that are watching the show and they don't see, you knew these guys on a personal level. Personality wise, what would you say Chris Rock was and Martin Lawrence was when they're not on stage, when they're just by themselves or just talking to you? Personality wise, Chris was always, to me, a very quiet guy. Martin was a little more active, but Chris was always quiet, didn't want to be around people too much. How do you take that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Chris was always quiet, and he didn't say much. He was a thinker, and he always looked around. He always had his notepad with him. One time I flew to New York because I had a meeting with Chris. I think we were talking about the Badass Jokes. I had to see him about something. We had lunch at a cafe in Brooklyn, and he had his notepad. And as I'm talking to him, it was, and I go, "What's going on?" He says, "Bill, this is where I get my material."
Yeah, he was.
He sees things on the street. And he writes it down.
He was always very that way. He was always the guy looking around, observing. There he is with Martin Lawrence. Is that him and Martin, or is that Eddie?
Yep.
I can't. Yep, that's him and Martin. That was early on. I knew him there. What about Martin? What kind of guy was Martin off stage when he was just hanging?
Okay, Martin. He was completely different. You always had to talk to him. Almost like it's Donald Trump, but don't kill me. You have to go with him with the big picture here, like, and how this move is right for his career and is going to propel him to the next level,
Right.
And that's because when you said what was his biggest concert, I'm jumping back and forth. After we did radio, oh my God, okay,
that's Kid and Play.
That's
Martin
me.
Lawrence, Bill. Who's the guy
Kid and Play.
Who's the one on the end?
Oh, that's Martin Lawrence.
No,
yeah,
the other
that's
one.
Martin Lawrence. Kid and Play. Kid is next to Martin, and Play is the other one.
I know Kid and Play, but who's the one on the other end of you?
Play.
No. Oh, okay, gotcha. There you go. Right. There's Kid in this play. Gotcha. Okay. I only knew Kid.
Yeah.
I knew Kid. He would hang out. He wanted to be a
Okay.
comedian too, Kid. I remember he
You
was
know, he
starting to
did.
become a comedian. Yeah, he was starting to do comedy back then. That's a
Yeah.
great shot right there. So tell me when you were in LA, because other than that, I mean, you went through a lot with a lot of other people too, like Michael Jackson, and you were
Yeah.
hobnobbed with some heavy duty people. You were part of that elite group of Hollywood people. I mean, would you say?
Yeah, but you're right. This is how I handled my comic. When Chris Rock came to LA, I would drop everything I was doing and I would be with him. Even from the time he checked into his hotel, to the meetings he had to go to, even if it was some deal that I wasn't involved in, because I only had him for personal appearances at my agency. He still had
Right.
William Morris for television.
Right.
I was with him, so I was known as Chris Rock's agent.
Oh
The
yeah, I
same
mean, that's
thing
what,
with Martin Lawrence. When he was filming his television show, I was at every show.
everyone.
When he would, yeah, everyone. When he when he had to go do an appearance somewhere, I was with him. I was, so I built it up that if these guys had any problem, they knew to contact me to fix it.
Right, you were the fixer of, and that's what your shirt says. What's your shirt? I fix stuff.
I fixed stuff.
I fix stuff. Couldn't be a better shirt. I'm looking at it now. Now it makes fucking sense. But let me ask you this though, Bill.
Yeah,
You also had
go ahead.
did you represent Carlos Mencia too, or you said you had a brief interaction?
Yeah. See, with Carlos was represented by my friend Worthy Patterson. Okay. And Worthy was trying, to get
Sure,
him
I
to
knew
show, but Worthy was successful at getting him the special. I think he had the comedy special, or two. I think he had two, and I think they were
Right.
on Comedy Channel. I think, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Comedy
Was it
Central.
Comedy Central at the time?
it's Comedy
Or
Central. Yeah,
Channel? I
no,
think it
Comedy
was
Central.
Yeah, Comedy Central. Yeah.
And I said to Carlos, let me take advantage of this wave, this publicity that you're getting, and let me book you. Yeah, but that was something more Stacy handled, because when Martin went on the road, he went on the road one time. I told you he was doing some comedy clubs. I wasn't with him. When he came back and I started booking him on the tour in the Fox markets, he says, Bill, you're coming with me. You're going to book the date and you're going to come with me and you're going to collect the money. Because
Right.
he wanted no part of that. That was a nightmare.
That was a nightmare. Carlos had a reputation.
What's that?
I think he broke up for a second there. Let's let his internet
Wills,
catch
are you
up
there?
a little bit. He broke up a little bit. Might be having a little
You there,
buffering
Will?
situation. But
Oh, here he
I,
comes.
I'm the outsider looking in at this moment, and I'm blown away about these stories. I really am. I'm fans of all of those guys, and I believe Martin comes from Maryland, which is where I was born as
Baltimore,
well.
Maryland.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind about that. Wait, do we lose Wheels?
I think we might have lost him. He may have to jump back in. It's like we talked about earlier with the live television.
Yeah, see if he jumps back in, because I got to tell Wheels has to hear this story.
Okay. Yeah, let's see if he jumps back in, because like I said, just me being the outsider listening to all of this, I can imagine the time that all was happening, right? I mean, was it like out of this world?
Yeah, but you see, I was a young comedy agent, and
Right.
people were kind of coming up to me and they weren't liking the decisions I was making for these guys. But they were big decisions, like with Martin Lawrence, taking a chance on him doing those shows. If he would have like bombed out, it could have hurt his career, but it wasn't going to bomb out. I told these people, I got the Fox affiliate giving us free commercials, okay, and an interview. You know, we're talking about we're 2,000 seats, and then I'm telling you, it was amazing because Polestar was reporting all the weekend shows, and every weekend, Martin Lawrence sold out, and they didn't understand it.
I think Wheels jumped back in. Can you hear us, Wheels?
I can hear you, but I don't see myself.
You're coming in, Wheels.
I'm going to refresh myself here.
Yep. We call that in the industry technical difficulties, my friends, in TV land.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
Should we take a break and reconnect?
I think we could do that. Sure. Maybe we'll take a pause for the cause and
let me see here. If you don't come on now,
we'll refresh. Yeah, if he doesn't come on now, we'll take a pause, maybe a bathroom break, and then we'll come back in for part 2.
Back right now.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. All right.
You able to see me? Yeah, I'm back. I had to go get Chick-fil-A. I was hungry. You were making me hungry. Talking about all the comics.
Yeah, a little brajol.
Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A. A little brajol. I'm making brajol Saturday, by the way. I'm making it for Sunday.
Like a little closer, I might come by.
So what did I miss on the show?
Tony brought up something about Martin Lawrence. You know, he wanted a story. He knew he was from Baltimore. This is going to blow your mind. Right. Okay, so when Martin Lawrence was a senior in high school, right? He was at Baltimore. He always told the teacher, I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be a comedian. So the teacher said to Martin, I'm going to give you the last 5 minutes of this class. And you're going to go up in front of the class and you're going to do comedy for 5 minutes. And he did that every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Unbelievable.
I would say that probably gave him his start, right? I mean, that gave him his confidence and his chops.
That was huge.
Yeah, that was a big
Martin
thing.
Did after he had his first season on the show, we did Radio City Music Hall and all that. Martin bought a Cadillac Eldorado. All right. We drove it to the school, and we had the teacher come out, and Martin gave her the keys to the car as a gift.
Oh, wow.
Insane.
Wow.
So
I never get a gift like that.
He was making that kind of money. He could just give those kind of gifts away.
Martin was very generous. Yes.
So Bill, let me ask you this, because, and then I want to get into you had a thing. So your brother, your brother's a big lawyer in Los Angeles. And he was friends with Michael Jackson, and you got to actually interact with Michael Jackson on a few occasions. And you told me one story the other night that to me was just absolutely hilarious about the roles. Can you get into that story a little bit? Mike, how did you go from Chris Rock, Martin Lawrence, Carlos, Tommy Davidson, then all of a sudden just like Michael Jackson out of nowhere? Just here's Michael Jackson. How'd that happen? And how does that happen?
This was kind of like early in everyone's career. Maybe this was like 93, 94. Okay. And my brother is a very famous entertainment lawyer, and he's probably the biggest and most famous entertainment lawyer in the world. I mean, if you Google him, and I'm very proud of my brother. But you got to understand something too.
How's your relationship with your brother now? You guys talk once in a while still? You guys
Oh
still
yeah, I texted him last night. I want to know how Dylan, his son, was doing because he's graduating from NYU
That's
in
nice.
May. Yeah,
You have a great relationship with your brother. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah, and he loves my kid. You know, he always is generous with her come Christmas or her birthday. Yeah.
That's nice.
So what happened was my brother, had been with Michael Jackson in the 70s, and he had to break Michael free from that Don King Jackson 5 situation that Joe was trying to put together. Okay.
Right. Right.
So he did that. He got him away. Then he did the Off the Wall album, and it was huge. Okay. Then my brother advised him, his to do the next album. Okay. And that's the one that had 1,000 hits on it. Okay.
Which one was that? The
Thriller?
2000 hit
Thriller.
Yeah.
Thriller.
That was a
Okay.
big one. That was probably his biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the Bad album came. And I should be right with my dates because Teddy Riley was producing the Bad album. Okay.
Okay.
Teddy Riley was in Guy. Okay. So Teddy Riley had seen Martin perform on Def Comedy Jam or somewhere and said, I want this guy to open for us, Guy, when we're touring. So I got a call out of the blue from Harvey Elkin, right, who is his manager, and Harvey talked like this, and he said, Bill, I want you to come to the studio tonight. I want to talk to you about Guy and Martin. Okay. I said, okay, I'm up for it. So I went to the studio. I walked in. I rang the bell. I had to go through security, all this crap. And I go into the studio backstage where there's a kitchen and stuff like that. And Harvey introduces himself to me, and we sit down and we start talking. But all the way over in the corner, there's this guy. He's kind of like watching us. And then Harvey sees him. Michael, come out here. I want you to meet someone. Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And he said, this is Bill Branca. This is Bill Branca, Michael. And Michael stares and he's like, Bill Branca? I says, Michael, let me help you. This ain't the first time I met you. I met you at my brother's wedding. Do you remember? He says, John Branca? I said, yes. And then he just lit up like a Christmas tree. And he said to me, you can even show the picture of me, Michael, and my brother. He said to me, I want you to stay for dinner. I want you to stay for dinner, Bill.
Maybe Burke can find it.
And we could watch a movie together and hang out. This is insane. I said, absolutely, Michael. Whatever you want.
Anything.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's my brother's wedding, and that's Michael right there with my brother. I think if you have the whole picture, I think that my father's on the other side somewhere.
This is how it's cropped on the internet.
Oh, okay. So what happened is, at the time, Michael and my brother weren't together. They had a separation, and that's me at the wedding with my brother's wedding with Bubbles. That's me with Bubbles.
Is he Bubbles?
Yeah.
Is he still around, Bubbles?
Yes, he is. He's at a wildlife preserve. The estate pays like $100,000 a year to feed him and shelter him.
That's wonderful. Bubbles is still around. Yeah. Jesus, he's iconic.
Yeah. So it was interesting because at the wedding, there's a picture. DeLeo was Michael Jackson's manager at the time. My brother was his attorney, and there's Michael, and that's who's in those pictures.
Wow.
Michael had a really good team of people,
Yeah.
the best of the best. When I was at the wedding, my sister and I sat next to Bubbles, and he had that little Christian Dior tuxedo. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Michael was sitting like maybe 2 seats over. Then I had Bubbles and my sister, right? And Michael had a guy, he had a robe on and a thing on his head, and he was Michael's personal chef. And Michael had given him the word to bring the food. So he brought a plate of food for Bubbles.
Bubbles.
And, but Bubbles wasn't having it. He okay. So my sister said to the handler, Michael had a handler, is it okay if I get Bubbles a banana? So my sister went into the kitchen and brought a bunch of bananas out, and she peeled it back. When Bubbles saw that, he grabbed it and he went like this. And my sister got scared. Oh my God, you're gonna choke! You're gonna choke! But he ended up eating like 3 bananas, and it was the greatest thing in his life with those, but not this Indian food.
Yeah,
they could care less about.
Prepared by his own personal chef. He'd rather have a fucking Chiquita.
Yeah.
You know.
So what happened back at the studio with Michael is we ended up having dinner together. You know, I ate the Michael food. Harvey had cooked something. It was like very vegetarian kind of food.
Yeah.
A vegan maybe. And then I stayed because Mike wanted to watch a movie. So of course, right? We watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I love that.
Okay? And you know, I'm sitting on the couch and sitting right next to Michael. It's insane. Because this is my, you don't understand. Even though I met him before, I mean,
still, yeah.
I'm sitting in his living room watching Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So what happens is Michael, after the movie, you know, he says, "Bill, tell me what you do." And I said, "Oh, I'm a comedy agent." Really? Who do you represent? And I knew what to say. I said, "I represent Tommy Davidson, who's on In Living Color." Okay.
Yeah.
And he loves to impersonate you. He says, "You represent that guy?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "I would love to see him. Where does he perform?" I go, "He performs at the Comedy Store." I could set it up, Michael. I can meet you in the back. We could bring you in. You could watch him. Nobody will know you're there. "Oh, Bill, I want to do that. I want to do that." Okay. And he said, "Who else do you represent?" And I said, "Chris Rock, Martin Lawrence, you know." And he was very impressed.
I'm sure. That's a heavy deck of cards right there, you know?
So then he says to me, "Bill, you know, I had a misunderstanding with your brother, and I had some really bad advice from attorneys. And I didn't mean for us to separate. You know, I want John back in my life, you know." And he was almost like frank to me, you know?
Yeah.
And he says, could you have John call me, please, and let him know how I feel about this? I said, "Yeah, Michael, no problem. I'll make sure he gets the message." I said, "Does he know what number to call?" He said, "Yeah, he knows what number to call." Okay. So that was that.
And then you got him back to did he get back together again after that, or?
Yeah, what happened was I told my brother, right? So then the following weekend, because my brother and I used to hang out on weekends, I checked in with him and I said, "Hey, buddy, did you call Michael yet?" I mean, yeah, I didn't call him yet. So we waited to the 3rd weekend, and I said, "Hey, John, did you call Michael yet?" "No, not yet." It took him 4 weeks.
I really love that it took him 4 weeks. I love that your brother just didn't give, just didn't jump, You know, that's a very calculated, manipulative move not to do what he did. Very calculated. You don't jump because if you show that you jump, then you're vulnerable. And he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's what I have to respect that. He didn't jump.
So he's talking to Michael. My brother then calls me up and he says, "Hey, Billy, you know, I spoke to Michael, okay, and you know, I think we're gonna work things out, and Michael's gonna, you know, come back, you know, and I'm gonna represent him, you know, his legal stuff and Bob creative." I said, "Good, that's good, buddy." He says, "Yeah, but something came up." He says, "Michael wanted me to invite you to go with me and Michael to Cirque du Soleil that's performing in Santa Monica this weekend."
Right.
I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He said, "No, he specifically said he wants us to invite you." I said, "Okay, okay." So now this is a hot ticket. And I said to my brother, "Can I invite somebody?" He said, "Oh, absolutely." All right. Do I invite a girl? I mean, this is like mind blowing. You know, this is something that a lot of people aren't going to handle. Okay.
Right.
So I think about it really hard, and I just said to myself, I'm going to invite Worthy Patterson. He's my best friend. I was best man at his wedding. He supported me. You know, he's with Carlos. So I'm just going to invite Worthy. All right. So we go to Worthy's house. We go up to my brother's house. We're driving in my brother's Corniche. We go into Westwood, like Wilshire Boulevard. We pull into this building. My brother goes up to the penthouse. I'm waiting in the car. They come down. And then my brother comes over to me and says, "Hey, Bill, I'm going to drive with Michael. Okay. And you could drive the Corniche and just follow us to Cirque du Soleil."
So Michael wanted to
I
drive,
said, "Okay."
basically.
Yeah. It was like an Amazon van. It was a weird kind of van, you know? And so anyway, you know, I'm sitting there, all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. The car comes out. My brother goes in it. Michael waves his arm to follow him. And we pull out on Wilshire Boulevard. And it's like a Saturday morning, you know what I'm saying? And you know how the place is somber. It's very quiet. Sure. And Michael is like driving
all over the road.
He's going from left to right to left to right, crossing the yellow line. He's coming. It's like Tiger Woods. I said, "Holy shit,
like a kid
man.
behind the wheel." Pretty much like a kid behind the wheel.
Yeah, and we finally got my brother was sweating. I said to him, "That was that fucking ride with Michael." So anyway, we went to Cirque du Soleil. We pull in. You know, they stop me, and Michael has to like get out because he pulled ahead and said, "Oh no, he's with me. He's with me." So right, boom. We get out. He puts a thing over his face or something, and then we go to our seats. They're in the front row, and my friend Worthy said, "Michael, would you like anything? I'm going to the concession stand." Michael says, "No, I'm okay." "Billy, do you want anything?" I said, "Well, maybe a soda, you know." But anyway, so Worthy comes back with this big tub of popcorn. So Michael looks over at it and says, "Can I have some popcorn, Worthy?" So he gives him the jug. Michael does not give it back to him.
He wanted
and Michael, he's just chomping it down. Boom, 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 boom. And Worthy's like, I says, "It's Michael Jackson."
Go get another fucking bucket.
Yeah, that was Michael Jackson. That.
You know, I was reading a story here that you had wrote, and I forgot to bring it up earlier. I just want to tell the story, and I think, you know, Billy, I got to be honest. I think we're gonna have to have a part 2 of this show, because I want to talk about the turn, but I'm thinking maybe we should talk about the turn and then have a part 2. We can get into it because there's a lot going on after that. But first of all, I want to talk about the story you told about Martin Lawrence in Cancun, which I thought was, and I want to go back to the Martin days. So you and Martin went to Cancun, Mexico, and I think it was just fascinating to me.
You know that's right. Early in his career, when he had the Martin show, and we were doing those tours, and building him up from 1,000 seats up to 7,500 seats. I got in touch with these people. They were really nice people. As a matter of fact, one of them is my friend on Facebook. A really nice guy. And he had a sponsor, and he wanted to do the Cancun Jazz Festival. And then he had me do his booking for the festival.
Right.
So we went out, we flew down to Cancun. I swear to God, the Chamber of Commerce, it was like I was royalty. I had a driver, anything I wanted, because they wanted me to bring talent to Cancun, and it was like unbelievable. Worthy and I went on that, and it was great. So then I got a call, I don't know, after that ended, we're going to do the Acapulco Jazz and Comedy Festival, Bill. I said, oh, fantastic, So I thought I would book Martin Lawrence on it. Like opening night, then we're going to have jazz, and then we were going to do comedy. I thought it would be brilliant. So Martin flies down. I'm down there. What happened was, Martin has this routine he does before his concerts. I was always part of it, where he punch around, he'd drink some water, he'd put his outfit on, he'd go on stage, he'd have to do prayer circles with all his people and blah blah blah. And then I always did the sound checks, because I had to go out and make sure the telebeams were going to hit him right, and all mic was used. He didn't do sound checks.
Sure.
Okay. So one thing Martin hates is if the show starts and there are people still coming in to sit, and they're disrupting everything. Okay. So Martin started his show, and the delegates from Acapulco had the first row. Like no one was really there, right? Finally, 15 minutes into his show, they decide to show up. And there was a big hustle, because they had that security. It was like crazy. So Martin turned his attention on these two people. The middle-aged man with a wife, and she was kind of a little heavy, and he starts calling her a whale. How dare you come to my show late? What were you eating? And he's just like doing a number on her.
Yeah.
They got so pissed off, they threw their arms up and they left.
Oh my God.
So Martin finishes the show, and someone comes up to me and says, "You're Martin's agent, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah. We'd like to talk to him." Who?
Who?
It was the Mexican police. It was like the federales.
Oh, fuck that.
They said Martin insulted the mayor of Acapulco.
The Acapulco mayor.
I says, I don't know where Martin is right now, Anyway, I find Martin and I say, holy fuck, Martin. They got the federales looking for you. They want to talk to you, but I don't trust them. You are not going to go anywhere near them. We're going to get the fuck out of here. So Stacy goes back to the hotel, and she says, Bill, the federales are here at the hotel in the lobby. Don't come back here. And I said, hey, what are we going to do? So I give her my key. She gets my stuff. Martin's concierge gets his stuff. It was a bag. I got a bag. And I said, we got to get the fuck out of here, Martin. So anyway, we're asking around, and we're kind of like ducking, right? Because he's fucking, right? We put a hat on him and everything. I found a driver, and I said to him, how much money will it cost if you could take me to an airport that's flying into America? He says, I got to go to Mexico City. I said, are you fucking kidding me? He says, no. So I think I gave him $500. Martin said, spend the money that they gave you and get me out of here.
Get me the fuck out of here.
All right. So we're in the car. The windows are rolled down. It's like a 1967 Chevy Caprice, you know, and we're driving, and the roads have no curb. And he's, you know, we go around this turn, and all of a sudden the wheel, you know, like with the brake and everything,
Yeah.
falls off the car and goes rolling over the hill into the valley. And we're sitting on three wheels now.
Holy shit.
He said, what the fuck?
The federales are
All
coming.
that has to happen is he's got to die right now in Mexico. So anyway, we got out of the thing. We said to Padre, we're going to go. Thank you. and we started walking towards Mexico City. You know, it's like a 6-hour drive. So all of a sudden a bus is coming. So I said, watch this, Martin. So the bus pulls over and says, what do you need, a ride? I go, yeah, see, ride. Where to? I go, airport. Ah, okay. Come on in. I go, how much? He said, $20. Okay. The bus was filled with migrant workers, okay, that were out doing picking all day. And it was kind of a little rough, the smell. And the bus had all the windows down. It was men, it was women. It was insane. So Martin sat like 2 seats behind me. I sat up here, and you know, we're like, anyway, we got to Mexico City and we saw the airport sign, and they didn't go off and take us to the airport. They dropped us off on the highway.
Oh God.
Where the exit sign is. And you know, that's like an hour walk.
Yeah.
You know?
To get to that's not like the airport signs like right at the beginning of the airport, you know.
No, you got to go through the circle.
You got to go through shit.
You got to go through section A, parking lot B, parking lot C. Okay. So what happened was I walked into the terminal, and I went and I said, listen, I want a flight to America. I want a flight to the USA. And the woman said, sure. What city do you want to go to? I says, I don't care. Any city. And she looked at me like I think I raised suspicion in her. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I would think like, what do you mean I don't care?
Yeah. But anyway, I found a flight that went into Houston. Martin and I got on that flight. We landed in Houston, and everything was good. We were on American soil. We got to fly back to LA together, and that was my Acapulco story with Martin.
That's great. So all this craziness that you've been doing and all that. So then, to be honest with you, like no one's after a while, it's like, you know, you were gone. It's just like one day you're there, next day you're gone. But what happened to Bill Branca? Like, where the fuck did you go, Bill? I mean, I didn't talk to you for 20 some odd years, and I saw you on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then one day we just started talking, but like it was yesterday, but still you were just gone. I mean, all this.
Well, see, what happened, you know, I guess if you want to wind things up, we could do part 2 another time. What happened was, when I had my own agency and I had built it up to this boutique agency, and you got to remember too, Russell Simmons, Def Comedy Jam, at first, remember they were pissed off at me because I said Martin ain't touring with you guys.
Right.
Then they called me up and Stan said, Bill, I don't know what you're doing. Okay. but you turn Martin into like a star, okay, on the road, okay, in one season. We want to put the tour with you, Bill. I says, you're going to give me Def Comedy Jam. He says, absolutely, it's all yours. So now I had Martin, I had Def Comedy Jam, I had Chris Rock. We got to talk more about Chris Rock stuff.
Well, I want
what
to do
happened
that.
was,
a matter of fact, I don't want to talk about what happened to you yet.
yeah,
I just want to let the people know that something did happen to Bill Branca. He left, but we're not going to talk about it now because I want to lead into that. But I want to be able to talk about what we need to talk about tonight because I want to get those stories out. But for the next episode, which will be very soon, like within days, you'll really then we can go into that fresh. But just so everybody knows, there is a turning point here, people, and we're not going to get into that turning point tonight. But you'll have to tune into
what happened. When I was at the top of my game, I was making a lot of money. All my acts were huge, and William Morris didn't want to take a friggin' chance on me, right? It turns out one day I got a call from Richard Rosenberg, who is an EVP at William Morris Agency.
Yeah.
We went out to lunch, and he basically said to me, Bill, I know you used to work with us. I think what happened to you was horrible. Okay. I want to hire you back and head our comedy department.
That's right. That's right. So you went back to the William Morris Agency.
But what I told him was, I said, Richard, I'm honored, that you're asking me to come back. I'm honored that I'm going to be director of comedy at William Morris. But you got to understand something. I have an office. I have 2 people that that I pay. I said, it's not just going to be me. It's going to be. And I have office equipment, all that stuff. You gotta buy me out on that stuff.
Yeah, buy out, basically, buy the business.
He said, put a list together, and then on the list, I said, Stacy Mark. I said, she's an agent, and I had the other girl down. I said she could be an assistant. Okay, Stacy's assistant. He says, Bill, I can't do that. I can't make her an agent. You got to go through the training program. You got to blah 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 blah. I says, then I can't do the deal. If she don't come in as an agent, I'm not going to screw her like this. Okay. Right. She's my right-hand person.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do the right thing,
About a week later, he calls me up. He says, it's all done. And I almost shit myself.
So, did Stacy became an agent, right?
Yeah.
Is she still an agent to this day?
Okay. Stacy, you know how I say I was attached at the hip to Martin and Chris when they came into town? Stacy was attached to my hip wherever I went. Okay, whatever I did. If I went to the Greek theater, just to watch a show, Stacy was with me. Right. If we went to the Whiskey to see a musical act or something because someone was showcasing, she was with me. Stacy. And she was really, she was absorbing everything. And she says, Branca, I don't know how you do this stuff, Branca. I just don't understand it. Because everything I was doing was hitting. I was taking meetings. I was signing people. I was making deals. I mean, it was like so easy. Okay. But then what happened? I ended up taking the position. I went back to William Morris. So I was on the top of my game. I had a really big office.
Right. Big promotion.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Big promotion. And, I guess we could say I started to get a little bit bored because I reached the pinnacle, and we could pick that stuff up some other time. Yeah. For
sure. So, well, that was awesome, man. I mean, we did about a little over an hour and a half tonight. So this is going to be probably a 3-hour episode. I want to bring you back. When we just really touched on so much, and there's so much more I want to talk about. You have like a never-ending amount of stories, and then what happened to you, and then now how you are now, and what you're doing now, and everything. And I just want to get into it. So I think we'll save that for the next episode. Let the people.
I want to talk more about Chris Rock too, because I gave the pretty good Martin story, and the Chris Rock has a completely different story, And I
So
want to talk
we'll
about.
start. Yeah, we'll definitely start with Chris, and then move into everything else.
Yeah,
Cool, man.
yeah.
All right, brother. Tony, you want to play a little background music while we wrap it up over here?
Sure,
It's
I can do
always
Oh,
that.
nice. You know, it's
Absolutely.
funny. I'm talking to Bill now, and then I'll probably be talking to him later tomorrow or tonight. But it's like, I mean, we have been
You see my
communicating.
picture?
Which one is that?
Here. Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the only one you didn't send me. We had to go online and get the other
Oh,
ones.
here. This is nice too. Just to show you how I'm still friends with these people. About 3 years ago,
Oh, I
Chris
see.
Rock came to Cleveland. That's where I'm living now.
Hmm.
And he brought Arsenio Hall, and Arsenio Hall know each other really well because I used to go to his show all the time. I didn't
He's
like
from
Jay
Cleveland.
Leno that much.
Isn't he from Cleveland?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Arsenio's
And
from
then there's
Cleveland.
my wife, and there's Arsenio. You know,
Yeah, we got
that
the
was
photo on the screen. There's the photo on the screen. So
there you go. Yeah.
and you still keep in touch with Chris.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully
Hold on.
hopefully we can get him on the show one day.
Yeah. This is really special. I brought my daughter
Oh yeah, we have that
to one
photo
of
too.
Chris's shows. Yeah,
It, it,
and this was not the show with my wife. This was another show. Chris comes to Cleveland a lot. This is maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago or something. And when Chris got off the stage, he came backstage, and he saw me. He said, Bill Branca, Bill Branca. And then he saw my angel. He changed. He took a deep breath. He kneeled down. He started talking to her, and it was just so touching. And he said,
well,
"How did you have such a beautiful?"
the real person
Yeah.
came out of him. And your life really
Yeah,
your life really is amazing now, and I see how you are with your daughter,
Yeah.
and the way you're living now, what you're doing is beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
You're very
Thank
good
you.
dad. You're very hands-on dad, I must say. Much like myself with my daughter. I mean, your daughter's young now. How old is she? 11 or 12?
She's 11 right now, going on 18.
Yeah, I know how that goes. But you're very hands-on, and you really are a big part of that. And it really shows everything that you do. You know.
Yeah. But even when I went into the business, and I was in the mailroom, they only, out of 30 people, 2 are going to become agents, right?
Right.
So I was up against 30 people who have family in the business. My brother was in the business, but it was really unbelievable. But I got promoted, and one other guy got promoted out of those 30 people. I'm very competitive when it
Well,
comes.
you are. You're a competitive person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't like to fail. You're very much you do you're like you have a lot of drive. You have to be the best.
I have, yeah. It's like I'm running around like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
I listen to people. Like when people were calling me, telling me, "Oh, don't do that," and then I would always look at the cons. Well, what happens if I do this? What happens if we're successful? And then I was like, I'm like Trump. I'm going with my gut.
Right. You just do it. Same with me. I'm the same way. I just go with the way I feel. I see it before it happens. I think you're the same way.
But for any comics that are coming up, and if you're looking for an agent, you got to go with the agent who really believes in you, okay? And who just doesn't want to add you to the roster, right? You got to go, because the passion that I had, Chris still doesn't have that. Even with all his success today, it's business.
Right.
Martin right now in his life, it's business. He don't have the agent going out on tour with him. He doesn't
I think
have
those
someone
days are over, though. Are those days over? You think doing that?
Like there are over, because Live Nation kind of ruined everything.
I agree. Totally agree.
But you could still go out on. See, this is what bothers me a little bit. I'm gonna tell you something. Well, like when I went to see Martin, I think he was at I forgot where it was, Ohio University. I think, yeah. Um, his tickets were like his cheap tickets. The bleacher tickets were like $75, $79. If you wanted to sit anywhere in the orchestra, you were paying 150, 200. They were 300 and something dollars.
Yeah.
And I like said to him, I had to say to him, when did your business model change, Martin? He, what do you mean, Bill? I go, you're charging $300 for a ticket. Oh, Bill, I don't get involved with that. That's all done by Live Nation.
Right. Yeah, they ruined it. They ruined everything.
Yeah. So
But, like,
Martin people, they're gonna be able to afford $300 fucking ticket.
Exactly. He has to have some creative control. But it's funny how you said that about comedians who want to be with agents. It's the way you found Chris and the way you found Martin was very organic. I always believe the agent should come to you. You shouldn't really go to the agent. You should make yourself known and let the agent see you. But you shouldn't try to if the agent doesn't want you, the agent doesn't want you. And there's a reason for it. And it's better when they want you, because then they're going to really work hard with you, you know?
And I would recommend, I want to go with this manager or this agent, that because they have, blah, blah, blah right now, and they're the hottest act, blah, blah. That might not be the right fit for you.
Right.
I mean, unless you're there and you're getting the stuff possibly that one of his other comics don't want, trickle down. But in my situation, I was a new agent and I was trying to prove something. Go with a new young agent who seems to have his footing correct in an agency. Yeah, that's going to work with you. That you're going to be his only client.
Yeah, he's going to work hard like you did with Martin. Going to Mexico, riding through the fucking through Mexico. What agent would even do that? Be like, agents don't go anywhere. There are very few people like that style agent anymore.
When you said what was the biggest show that Martin did? Okay, so after we did Radio City Music Hall, we called it the You So Crazy tour. We were going down.
That tour. Yeah, I remember that tour.
Yeah, we went to Baltimore, right? Because we gave the teacher the car. Remember, Martin bought the car for the teacher.
Right.
Then we went to Washington and we did the Capitol Center. It's not called Capitol Center anymore, and it was in the Round. And we set it up for 25,000 tickets, one show. And this was another one that people were saying, Bill, you're going to kill this guy's career, Bill. Half the house is going to be empty, Bill. We sold that fucking thing out. 25,500 tickets, something like that.
Wow.
That's a lot of tickets. Yeah.
But you want to hear something? I didn't file it with the Guinness Book of World Records because we would have had the largest audience for a comedy show. Because, but who knew? Because if you go in the Guinness Book right now, there is a comedian. I think he was in Australia or something, and he did like 30,000 tickets, or something.
Yeah.
But I would have had my name in the Guinness Book.
Well, listen, there's always another try. We can go looking for comedians. We can go to New York tomorrow, go to the Comedy Store, and just assume the position, Bill. We'll just show up like nothing fucking happened. There's Wheels and Branca. Like, what happened?
Oh my God! Like Stiller and Mirror, Wheels and Branca. I like it.
Wheels and Branca. All right, man.
And
I want to
bring brajol.
And we can do some brajol, and we can do some broccoli rabe and sausage.
I got to say, when I was at the Comedy Store, I always loved seeing you, Wheels. I mean, I lit up when I saw you because I would immediately go over to you, right? We would be standing in front or by the Wall of Fame or something, and I would start talking to you about scuttle and beans.
I know, scuttle and beans, our conversation. Other comedians are trying to figure out what set they're going to do tonight, just in case you walk in the room. And all I gave a fuck was, no, you got to put red pepper and brown the garlic a little bit.
Yeah. And you were telling me to saute it in the pan. You don't have to boil it. Blah blah.
Boil it. Yeah.
And I'm like, and that was fantastic because that's my favorite dish, and my kid loves it too. But that's what we were talking about.
I like the name you came up with, From Broccoli Rob to Hollywood. That would be a great book.
Yeah.
So let's come back. Let's come back and talk about more about Chris Rock. We're going to talk more about Chris Rock, more about Martin Lawrence, more about a lot of other stuff, a lot of stuff that's going on today, and we're going to talk about what happened to Bill Branca. So we're going to come back after that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
I had to take an exit stage left. I had to step out of it for a minute.
That's all right. But now you're back. Now you're back in it, and people are getting to finally see you again, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch we'll be on Spotify and iHeart and everything else tomorrow. So maybe tonight or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Billy
Absolutely.
Boy.
It was truly a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. And Tony, let's play this out. Welcome to How Not to Bomb, everybody. Stay tuned for part 2 of Billy Branca coming up in the next couple of days. I'm signing out.